All of the late-night talk shows have been on hiatus for several months now because of the writer's strike. This comes as news to most Americans who had forgotten that those shows existed. Late-night talk shows, of course, haven't been relevant, least of all funny, since approximately maybe the year 2003. In fact, I was surprised to learn that they were impacted by the writer's strike at all, as I assumed that they didn't have writers, but they do. And in spite of the strike and the general lack of relevance, one late-night show has managed to make the news this week for all the wrong reasons. Rolling Stone has the big expose on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Here's the headline: Chaos, Comedy, and Crying Rooms Inside Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. 16 current and former staffers say Fallon's erratic behavior spoiled their dream of working on The Tonight Show. Now, as you can tell from the title, this is yet another shocking report about a so-called toxic work environment. We're seeing these kinds of things with increasing frequency. You might even say that the toxic work environments are having their Me Too moment. First, it was Ellen DeGeneres. Then earlier this year, thanks to another Rolling Stone expose, we heard that the Kelly Clarkson show is a toxic environment where employees feel stressed out and they get yelled at sometimes and they start crying and their mental health is severely impacted. Then a few weeks ago, the American Psychological Association released a new study claiming that 20% of all workers in America, which is about 30 million people, give or take, are in workplaces that are toxic. And half of them say that their mental health has been harmed by all of the toxicity in the workplace. And now we have this revelation about Jimmy Fallon. Toxic work environments are an epidemic, it seems. Which raises the question, what exactly is a toxic work environment and how does it significantly differ from a regular work environment? Well, let's read a little bit of this Rolling Stone report to see if it might help illuminate the issue for us. Quote, according to 2 current and 14 former employees, The Tonight Show has been a toxic workplace for years, far outside the boundaries of what's considered normal in the high-pressure world of late-night TV. They say the ugly environment behind the scenes starts at the top with Fallon's erratic behavior and has trickled down to its ever-changing leadership teams, 9 showrunners in the past 9 years, who seemingly don't know how to say no to Jimmy. Former employees described The Tonight Show as a tense and pretty glum atmosphere, with some alleging that they were belittled and intimidated by their bosses, including Fallon himself. Employees described being afraid of Fallon's outbursts and unexpected, inconsistent behavior. 7 former employees say that their mental health was impacted by their alleged experiences working at The Tonight Show. These staffers say it was commonplace to hear people joking about wanting to kill themselves and that they would refer to guest dressing rooms in the office as crying rooms because that's where they would go to let out their emotions when they are upset with their alleged mistreatment. Well, this sounds potentially bad so far. Employees are breaking down in tears at work. They're talking about killing themselves. What exactly is happening to these people? Like, what is Jimmy Fallon doing to them? Like, what specifically is he doing? What terrible atrocities are being inflicted upon the Tonight Show staff? Well, let's keep reading and we'll find out. Quote, it's a bummer because it was my dream job, one former employee says. Writing for late night is a lot of people's dream jobs, and they're coming into this and it becomes a nightmare very quickly. It's sad that it's like that, especially knowing that it doesn't have to be this way. But behind the scenes, there was a surprising, dramatic, and ugly shift in the working environment, according to 3 employees who originally worked for Late Night with Jimmy Fallon and then followed the team to The Tonight Show. Of course, there was the added pressure when the program transitioned. The Tonight Show is one of the television's most storied franchises. Quote, the producers felt this pressure, and that translated down to all their employees, people that worked under them, and then felt this pressure that if you made one mistake, you were gone and would be easily replaced, one former employee says. Quote, you have all these NBC pages in the building who are ready, willing, and waiting to take your job. Okay, at this point, we've learned that some of the employees expected the job to be a dream, and it wasn't. And they also felt a lot of pressure, and they were afraid that they might be fired and replaced. So far, it sounds like this toxic work environment is just literally every work environment. Are you one of the millions of American men and women dealing with premature hair thinning and hair loss? Or maybe you're scared about inheriting that thinning look because it runs in the family? Well, finally, there's a real solution that delivers on its promise without the harsh side effects, unwanted chemicals, and unpleasant smells. Provia Hair Care uses a safe, natural ingredient called Procapil to effectively target the 3 main causes of premature hair thinning and loss. Provia supports healthy scalp circulation and delivers nourishing nutrients to strengthen hair follicles and anchor them to your scalp. Provia guarantees more hair on your head than in the shower drain, which is what you want. Provia is effective for men and women of any age, and it's safe on colored, treated, and styled hair. Provia works guaranteed for 100% of your money back. It's that easy. Right now, new customers save over 50% off Provia's introductory package at proviahair.com/Walsh. See results for yourself right now. Don't wait. That's proviahair.com/Walsh. Before getting our dog Rough Greens, he was so sad and lazy. Well, now he actually enjoys his squeaky toys and playing fetch with his Frisbee. Our pup's days are filled with laughter, exercise, and endless fun. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, the founder of Rough Greens, is focused on improving the health of every dog in America. Little did I know before I got Rough Greens that dog food is dead food. Everybody knows that nutrition isn't brown, it's green. Well, let Rough Greens boost your dog's food back to life. Rough Greens is a supplement that contains all the necessary vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega oils, digestive enzymes, and antioxidants that your dog needs. You don't have to go out and buy new dog food. Just sprinkle Rough Greens on their food every day. Dog owners everywhere are raving about Rough Greens. It supports healthy joints, improves bad breath, boosts energy levels, and so much more. We are what we eat, and that goes for dogs too. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black is so confident Rough Greens will improve your dog's health. He's offering my listeners a free Jumpstart trial bag so your dog can try it. A free Jumpstart trial bag can be at your door in just a few business days. Go to roughgreens.com/Matt or call 844-ROUGH-700. That's RUFF greens.com/Matt or call 844-ROUGH-700 today. But maybe we haven't gotten to the really horrific stuff yet, so let's continue. Quote, nobody told Jimmy no. Everybody walked on eggshells, especially showrunners, another former employee says. You never knew which Jimmy you were going to get and when he was going to throw a hissy fit. Look how many showrunners went so quickly. We know they didn't last long. With an ever-changing cast at the top, employees say that they had nightmares related to work and were in a constant state of fear. One former employee says that they had their first anxiety attack while working at the show and were put on anti-anxiety medication for the first time. Another employee says that they felt physical ramifications of their declining mental health, like their hair thinning and weakened nail beds. 4 other employees say that they're in therapy because of their experiences. 3 say they experienced suicidal ideation as a result of the working environment. One employee says that they lost nearly 20 pounds during their time working under showrunner Granite Biederman and felt like they were on edge all the time and cried themselves to sleep every night. So we're still hearing about the emotional devastation all these employees experienced, crying themselves to sleep every night, crying at work, crying everywhere all the time, in therapy, losing weight. But we haven't heard what exactly happened to them to justify this kind of reaction. From the sound of it, these people are having the emotional reaction you'd expect from someone whose house just burned down with their entire family inside. I mean, they are describing deep, profound emotional trauma, crying yourself to sleep every night. That's like grieving the loss of a loved one, okay? So what could possibly have happened to them at the office to cause this kind of reaction? We still haven't heard, so let's continue. According to most employees who spoke to Rolling Stone, it's common knowledge that behind the scenes, Fallon's temperament, mood, and treatment of staffers is erratic. These employees say that they've witnessed Fallon snap at crew members, express irritation over the smallest of things, berate and belittle staffers out of frustration. 3 former employees say that he berated them in front of other colleagues and crew members. One employee says that depending on Fallon's mood, they felt like his notes and feedback could be passive-aggressive, personal insults as opposed to constructive criticisms. They say that he would write comments like, "Are you okay? Seriously, do you need help?" Rolling Stone reviewed photos of the employees' alleged notes from Fallon that read, "Ugh, lame. What is going on with you? You've outdone yourself." The same employees say that Fallon would also send combative emails, one of which was reviewed by Rolling Stone, to certain staffers if he was dissatisfied with their work. 2 employees remember witnessing Fallon scold the crew member who was in charge of his cue cards in the middle of a taping with comedian Jerry Seinfeld. They say it was an uncomfortable moment. Okay, I can just stop this here and spoil the ending because this is it. There is no shocking revelation about horrific abuse being inflicted upon Tonight Show staffers. It's just this. The boss gets angry sometimes and yells. He criticizes employees who dissatisfy him on occasion. There's some passive aggressiveness. Sometimes people get fired. The closest thing they get to an actual shocker is that 2 employees claim that Fallon seemed potentially inebriated at work once 6 years ago. Which, if true, of course, is bad. But there is nothing here that could even remotely justify crying fits and panic attacks and employees running around threatening suicide. Okay, this is not a toxic work environment. It's a fragile work environment staffed by a collection of emotionally stunted crybabies who break down in tears if they experience a little bit of pressure or if the boss gets a little bit mad sometimes. Look, I'm no Jimmy Fallon fan. I have no dog in this fight. I have no instinct to defend him or any real interest in defending him. But my general ambivalence towards Jimmy Fallon is overridden in this case by the intense revulsion I feel towards this generation of overgrown children masquerading as adults who can't handle even the smallest amount of stress. And that's where this idea of the toxic work environment comes from. Now, there might be some workplaces that really are toxic in a more significant sense, but for the most part, when someone complains about their workplace being toxic, what they really mean is that their workplace is a workplace, that they have to deal with other people, they have responsibilities they have to perform. They have to justify their existence and their job. There's pressure, there's stress. Tempers flare sometimes, people disagree. Coworkers and bosses have eccentricities that can be annoying and frustrating. It's a workplace. It's life as an adult. This is how it goes. Now, just to drive the point home here, recently Forbes published a list of the 10 signs that you're in a toxic workplace. And here are some of the signs. It says that your workplace is toxic, says Forbes, if you are physically and mentally exhausted at the end of each workday, if your manager asks you to be available to answer emails in the evenings, if your colleagues complain about work, or if your coworkers sometimes make offensive jokes. That is a toxic work environment. So again, a toxic workplace is just a workplace. It's any workplace. Now, that's not to say that people should make offensive jokes, or even that your boss should expect you to be available off hours, but these things happen, and when they happen, it just means that your workplace isn't perfect. It isn't flawless. Indeed, as Jimmy Fallon's staff discovered, it isn't a dream. There's no dream job because life is not happening in a dream. It's reality. Stuff happens sometimes that you don't like. That doesn't make it toxic, you emotional infants. And it certainly doesn't justify crying fits or acting like you have PTSD. You didn't get your legs blown off on the battlefield. You answered a work email at 7 p.m. You'll be fine. Stop whining. See, this is the real story with the epidemic of toxic work environments. Once again, the problem isn't the problem itself, but the total inability of grown adults to deal with the problem. There are always going to be workplace pressures and angry bosses and annoying coworkers. Encountering these challenges, it doesn't make you an abuse victim. It makes you a normal adult existing in a reality that won't always, or in fact will never, comport entirely with your dreams. You either learn how to cope with that and succeed in spite of it, or you can cry like a toddler and look for pity and a pat on the head. Unfortunately, many people these days choose the latter. And for that, they are today canceled. Thanks for checking out this video. If you'd like to listen to my full podcast on the go, you can check out The Matt Walsh Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.